Good evening, councillors, staff and the gentleman in the gallery. Thank you for coming along this evening, and thank you to those listening at home. Please be seated while Councillor Dewhurst delivers the blessing. Thank you.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. May wisdom guide our words, courage strengthen our actions, and integrity light our path, so that every decision we make serves the good of all. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor Dewhurst. Before we begin, I will acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional lands of the Wadjuk Noongar people and pay my respects to their elders, both past and present. It is now 7 p.m. and I declare the meeting open. There are no announcements of visitors, so we'll read the disclaimer. Members of the public are cautioned against taking any action on council decisions on items in which they may have an interest until such time as they've seen a copy of the minutes of the meeting or have been advised in writing by city staff. Also to note, this is live streamed, so please note that all council meetings are digitally recorded and live streamed on the city's YouTube channel, except for confidential agenda items, during which time the live stream will be temporarily suspended. Thank you. Record of attendance, Councillor Betts has a leave of absence and Councillor Lloyd is an apology and Councillor McDonald is attending online. Other than that, we are all here. Are there any disclosures of interest, councillors? None. Please do let me know if any become apparent. Thank you. Question time for the public and receiving of public statements. We just have questions from Mr. Leon Walker. A number of questions from Mr. Leon Walker. And Mr. Walker, you can ask all your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What weight is given to Walga's Local Government Consumer Index in determining the budget?
Brooke, if you could respond to that, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We do take it into consideration, but we often question the basis of how that figure's been prepared, and I think Councillor Good raised that the cost index was about 3.4% that Walga is forecasting for this year. But certainly in terms of our contract cost increases that have come through tenders that Council would have seen throughout the course of the year have generally included increases much higher than that. So what we have regard to it, but I'm not really sure it is an accurate measure of cost increases for local governments, and particularly when you've got such a diversity of local governments, to come up with one index that reflects the diversity of all councils in Western Australia is probably fairly challenging, I think.
Thank you, Mr. Bradbrook. Your next question, Mr. Walker.
Historically, how accurate has the Local Government Consumer Index been?
That might have been answered in the last question, do you think? Are you happy with that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. What expenditure in the proposed budget is non-essential or discretionary?
Mr. Bradbrook will respond to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, a significant proportion of expenditure in the budget is effectively discretionary. If you talk about what we have to do that we're required to do by law, it's probably only 30-35% of our total expenditure. So we're obliged to provide some functions, planning and building control, swimming pool inspections, food premise inspections, those types of things. But a lot of the services that we deliver, we don't need to provide IT. We don't need to necessarily provide a particularly effective HR service, but they're all things that contribute to running the organisation. So council certainly has discretion to work out whether it wants to continue to provide a whole range of services that we currently provide.
Thank you. Next question.
What proposed expenditure could be reduced or eliminated without affecting residents, ratepayers and electors?
Mr. Bradbrook, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think any changes to services will affect some residents or ratepayers. It won't necessarily affect all ratepayers. For example, not all ratepayers attend Leisure World, for argument's sake, but a significant proportion of the community does. Not all attend libraries, but a lot do. So I think any change that you make, it will affect someone, and someone will feel the consequences of any changes that are made.
Thank you.
Next question.
By how much would expenditure in the proposed budget need to be reduced to achieve a rates increase of 3%?
Approximately 800,000. Thank you.
What capital expenditure is proposed in Kenwick in 2025-26?
You got that? Not sure.
Madam Mayor,
Mr. CEO, thank you.
the budget isn't broken down into the various neighbourhoods and districts of the city. So.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Your next question.
What capital expenditure is proposed in each of the other suburbs in the city of Gosnells in 2025-26?
And that would be the same response for that.
Okay,
It's not
yep.
broken down to each
Thank
suburb.
you.
Thank you.
What is the proposed expenditure on the award-winning Fusion Festival for 2025-26?
The total cost is around 500,000, and we do get a portion of that from the Lotteries West generally in sponsorship.
Thank you. Historically, approximately what percentage of the attendees at the Fusion Festival have not been residents, ratepayers, electors of the City of Gosnells?
Now, it's hard to say as we don't keep records of who's coming in and out the doors, but best estimate is of probably 20%.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What expenditure is proposed for 2025-26 to rectify the defects identified in the city's property at Carrican?
$101,186. Thank you.
Thank you.
No further. Oh, you have a. You may as well stay there, Mr. Walker, for your statement. Thank you.
Thank you. By now, most of you will have at least an inkling of my views of the proposed budget and rates increase. I hope a majority of you will share my views later when it comes to the vote. Please put aside any thoughts, feelings and opinions you have about me and consider the ratepayers, especially those ratepayers, both domestic and commercial, who are struggling at the margin. A rise of 3.9 is too much. According to my arithmetic, reduction in the proposed rates income and proposed budgeted expenditure from rates of about 850,000 will reduce the proposed increase in rates to about 3%. Surely this is achievable without otherwise affecting residents, ratepayers and electors. I urge you to send the report back to the city's amazing staff for further consideration with a view to achieving a substantial decrease in the increase in rates. Please be aware that it is my intention that ratepayers are informed of how councillors voted tonight prior to the next election in October. That stated, I trust that councillors will feel free to vote according to their conscience and not according to any pressure, including peer pressure from others. I urge councillors to step up and show their courage when it comes to the vote this evening. Again, I ask, no, I plead with you to send the report back to the staff for further consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Walker, for coming this evening. There are no further public statements, so that brings us to the end of public question and statement time. We'll now move on to the receiving of petitions and presentations. Are there any? No, thank you. We'll now move on to the reports. So the report, which is 6.1, the adoption of the 2025-26 budget. And if no one objects, I'll be happy to move that. Sorry. Do you object, Councillor Dewhurst, to me moving? Would you like to move it, Councillor Dewhurst? Thank you, Councillor Dewhurst. Would you like to second it, Councillor Dewhurst? Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Dewhurst. So, and referring to what Mr Walker said, and I agree, no one wants to see a rate rise, least of all the councillors that are here. But with the cost of living and everything going up, construction, roadwork, staffing, even basic services like traffic management, unfortunately these costs have to be reflected in this budget. We all know that wage growth is necessary to attract and retain staff who deliver these services, and they also deserve a good quality of life. This year's 3.9% rate increase reflects the real cost of continuing to provide the services our community expects and relies on. That said, I believe that this budget is balanced and fair. It delivers something for every suburb and for every age group, and even for our four-legged friends. And as we all know, we have scrutinised this budget. We've been backwards and forwards and then again to see where cuts could be made. There's been some debate around funding for community events, but with the cost of living being what it is, The reality is that many of our local families cannot afford to attend events like they might like to, like international soccer at the stadium or a world wrestling event. So we, as a council now, more than ever, need to provide free events for our communities so that they have got other things to do in life than stay at home when there's, other things going on. So what would be good is if the state and federal government could find a way to allocate funding for grants to help local governments such as ourselves to deliver these community building programs. So I am reasonably comfortable that we are doing all we can to deliver what we are delivering without raising rates too excessively. We are continuing to maintain our parks and outdoor spaces to a high standard. We are ensuring our roads are safe, we are delivering basic services, and we are considering the city's future. I'm also excited this budget includes the funding to establish our own tree nursery. This is a smart, cost-effective way to help meet our urban canopy targets and potentially generate future revenue by selling tube stock to other councils. I do have one concern, and for that I do have an amendment, and councillors, you have the pink amendment in front of you, and that is that I, Mayor Teresa Lyons, propose the following: that the 2025 budget be amended by funding the transfer of $2 million to the Sutherlands Park Master Plan Implementation Reserve from the Splash Reserve rather than the Gosnells Town Centre Revitalisation Reserve. And for the following reasons: to prevent funding in the Gosnells, to preserve the funding in the Gosnells Town Centre Revitalisation Reserve. I'm seeking a seconder for that. Councillor Adams is happy to second that. For the reason being is that for quite some time we have let the City of Gosnells residents know that we do want to do something in our town centre. So I want to retain that money in there so that if an opportunity does come up, we can actually do something in our town centre, which there is a fair expectation that we are going to be doing something, so we need to have some money in that reserve if an opportunity comes up. We do know that we may or may not be able to build Splash in the next 5 to 6 years, so I think we have opportunities for further grants or borrowings for the Splash Reserve, so I don't think we need to leave that in there. So that's my thoughts, is leaving it in the Gosnells Town Centre Reserve for that reason. As the seconder, would you like to speak to that, Councillor Adams? Would anybody else like to speak to it? Councillor Dewhurst, thank you.
I'm really sorry about this. I just can't remember. The mind's a bit foggy at the moment. But as a mover, can you do an amendment?
Yes.
You can?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. No worries. Thank you very much.
Technically, no.
Technically, no. Oh, maybe I can't do it. I'm speaking and doing it at the same time, can't I? Part of my movement.
Madam Mayor, can I suggest I'll make this amendment for you if you want it?
Well, thank you, Councillor Dewhurst. Would you like? Are
As
you
a
sure
seconder?
about that, Mr. Reverend?
Yeah, I didn't think you could when you were going on about it.
That's not right, is it? Anyway, are you happy to move that, Councillor, with everything that I've said, or would you like?
I am. I don't need to add to it. I support the amendment. I support my amendment, and I hope you guys would support it in that way. Thank you very much.
No, Councillor Adams seconded it. Yeah. Happy to second that, Councillor Adams? Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak to the amendment? Would you like to close, Councillor Dewhurst? Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. We'll put that back with the original motion. And would anybody else like to speak to the original motion? Councillor Good, thank you. All right, councillors, if you could please cast your vote on the amendment, thank you. Thank you, that is carried. And now we will go back to the original item, and Councillor Good will speak to the original item.
Thank you, Mayor Lyons. I'm just making sure we're all good, because I know I'm all good, but are you guys? I've got to make sure you are on ball. I enjoyed that that commentary and moving that, the budget. Made some really great remarks, Mayor Lyons. Really impressed with that, actually. First of all, I actually want to acknowledge Mr Walker's emails and comments, and the fact that he's here tonight as a concerned resident is really encouraging. So just want to say I'm really very much appreciative of that. And whilst I don't speak for everybody, I know many of you have got similar thoughts, but we want rates increases to be as minimal as possible. I don't know anyone in the room would actually disagree with me, but if you do, so be it. But, you know, we want them as little as possible. I know I do. We're proposing a rate increase of 3.9% with knowledge inflation is now at 2.1% in Australia. We all get that. We all listen to the news. We read about it. Unfortunately, Channel 7, 9 and 10 often get it wrong. They frequently make spelling errors on their screens in case you're not aware of it. I do try and point it out to them. They've got to edit it better. We're budgeting a dollar value rates revenue of 88.1 million, which is 5.542 million, or 6.7% higher than our actuals from the last year. But the reality is we've actually got more properties. So that's why. So the 3.9 is there, and factoring in the more income from more properties that we've now got available, because the growth of the city in the last decade has been nothing short of phenomenal growth and more expected. Rate income covers employee costs of 62.7 million. And I know you all know that, it's on the screens. So 88.1 minus your 62.7, you know, you look at roughly $26 million. What can you do with it? The answer is not much. We rely on state grants, federal grants, fees and charges, because the bottom line being is when someone says, I pay my rates, I go, yes, but it doesn't cover much. It really doesn't. And that's the point, is that we have to go begging every year to get some more funding, like every other local government across West Australia and Australia does. I wish there was a better way, quite frankly. We've also have to allow for the superannuation increase, which started today, of another 0.5%, so we've now hit 12% in our super. We have to allow for future employee costs increase in the vicinity of 4% as a result of enterprise bargaining agreements when they come about. Everyone wants a pay rise. So, well, how do we factor all this in? In essence, we have to allow for the CPI wages adjustments to remain competitive in the labour market, which means is basically a line that you were using. We have to be competitive with employees to retain them, otherwise they will go elsewhere. It's a shame, but what's in it for me is a pervasive way of thinking, well, what can I get? And we have to manage that as best we can. Budget increase because, as I said, we have more properties, parks and gardens to manage. We now have a population over 140,000 people, and that's why this budget increase is needed and why the budget percentage is required. As a community, we have to ensure expectations are kept in check. One of my favourite words of late is expectations. People expect, well, we have to lower it if need be, because sometimes we can't afford everything that you want. We're not there to do everything for everybody. There's a state government, and there's a federal government, and we sometimes have to draw the line between what we can do, but we do what's in our best interests. We can't promise everything and deliver everything. We do what we can, when we can. I do note that after almost 12 years on council, that we are averaging around 2.2% per annum increases. It would be good to get back under 2% for future budget increases, and I note that with inflation now at 2.1, hopefully next year, even allowing for that local government index, if we can get under 2, that would be great. It would be a good thing. But we also must acknowledge that construction costs are massively increased. Rising costs associated with contractor services are being experienced continuously. So the things we build, make, improve, particularly for the roads, can you imagine if you didn't resurface that road but you waited another year? Do we then delay doing road repairs? Do we delay doing new improvements? I've already mentioned about the local government cost index with Welga forecasting at 3.3%, and it is significant. Notable developments include the Southern River Business Park, which I'm really rapt about. That's significant for us because, and with all the settlements, lots due by June 30th next year, which total 39.3 million against the current liability of 25.5, which gets repaid in full. So Southern River Business Park is a big plus for the city, big plus for future rateable income. We're also developing, obviously, the Langford Indoor Sports Centre of 8.76 million, of which I think 4 million is federally funded, but correct me if I'm wrong on that. I believe that's the figure. And that's a massive... 5.5, I stand corrected. Actually, the budget, I think I read it 4 million, so maybe the budget, might have to look at that again in my own mind. And it's noted that we have capital expenditure of 54.9 million, with 9 million of this coming from rates. So there's our capital expenditure, 54.9 million, and if you cast back those earlier comments, we don't generate that surplus from rate income, less even staff wages, so we have to always get grants. The point is to highlight that funds to pay for this must come from grants, fees and charges. Obtaining grants from state and federal governments is not easy. We would dearly love a grant from both to cover costs of building Sutherland's Park and the splash facility. Ideally, if we could develop more rateable income property subdivisions such as Charles Hook, Gibbs Park, potentially Harmony Fields, and of course if Hester Park would ever get rezoned, there's a 206 unit land there. Then more land would be available for more houses to be built and more income for the city. Where we could save money includes not installing, this is my favourite topic, speed advisory signs, smiley faces on Madison Street at almost $44,000 on Reservoir Road, of $81,000 in cushions, traffic calming of $101,000. Whilst I acknowledge that greater road safety and less crashes would occur, I also point out you are penalising slowing down the majority of the population for no reason. We could simply install cameras, or the police can install speed cameras and fine the drivers for exceeding the speed limits, as this is where we could save significant money each year and actually produce income. Whether I'm alone in my thinking, so be it. But I don't like a smiley face telling me I'm going too fast. I often pause to reflect on how much money has been spent in the past decade on road traffic calming devices, and has it achieved its desired result? I feel sorry for the ambulance drivers, bus drivers and truck drivers driving over speed bumps. Changing topic, it is worthwhile pointing out that this is the final year using gross rental values from Landgate. Next year it's a new ballgame in light of recent property increases, and I know our executive staff are fully aware of this. My point, fellow councillors and anyone listening in, is if you've had a property which was worth 600,000, it's now worth 800,000 in a year or two's time, get what's going to happen. Everything changes, the formula changes in terms of the rate and the dollar. It's happened before, it'll happen again, but it's going to occur. Just for comparison purposes, our nearby neighbour, the city of Coburn, they have a population of approximately 135,000 people. Their 2026 budget includes a net operating deficit of 2.79 million, which is an improvement from 4.2 million deficit. We at Gosnells at least run a surplus, which is lovely. The point of this is to highlight that in local government it's not always easy to have the surplus that you need and run an efficient budget, but the City of Gosnells do that every year. Be mindful on the rate notices, the ESL rates have increased. Just want to make sure that ratepayers realise we don't raise and keep the ESL. It's separate from the normal rates. Councillors, I fully support this budget and a 3.9% rate increase. I would love it to be lower, but the fact is if we don't take the reality into consideration, we're going to have to cut other costs. And yes, you could argue we spend $500,000 on fusion, you could cancel that in a blink of an eye. But is it worth it? That's up to others to judge. But the things that we can cancel, I've just mentioned, but we need that increase. And I'd love it if in 12 months' time we're under 2%, it would be ideal. But in other words, we must manage expectations because we have limited income sources. It is that simple. I commend the budget.
Thank you, Councillor Good. Would anybody else like to speak to this item? Councillor Islam.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've got an amendment here. Just read this out. I, Councillor Saiful Islam, propose the following. The note to contain in the budget be amended, and the note in the budget says, the City of Gosnells will fund 5 cash prizes of $1,000 each, and the amendment to state the City of Gosnells will fund prizes up to $5,000 in total to encourage payment for rates in full by the due date. For the following reason, to provide flexibility in the number and types of incentive that can be offered to residents to receive payment on time.
Seeking a seconder? Councillor Dewhurst, happy to second that. Thank you.
Thank you. I request my fellow councillors to support in this amendment is because that gives the city the flexibility in terms of offering the prizes to our residents, not limiting ourselves with only 5 prizes and cash. I'll appreciate your support on this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Islam. Councillor Dewhurst, would you like to speak to this amendment? Anyone else like to speak to the amendment? No, if you could please cast your vote on the amendment. That has been carried, thank you. That moves back with the original item again. So would anybody else like to speak to the original item? You have a question? You have another amendment.
I've got a foreshadow motion,
Foreshadowed motion?
please. Yep. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I, Councillor Islam, propose the following. The Council does not adopt the 2025-26 budget and requests the CEO to prepare a new budget that caps any rate increase to 3.5% for the following reasons. Our ratepayers are already experiencing cost of living pressures, and Council should not unnecessarily add to that. Reducing the rate increase to 3.9 to 3.5% would require savings of approximately $330,000. In the context of $150 million budget, it should be possible to find those savings within some of the discretionary projects or services the city provides. Specifically, savings could be considered in areas such as community events, amendments to library services, reduction in community sponsorships, or deferring non-essential capital projects.
Thank you, Councillor Islam. Councillors, that will come up if the original item is lost, and then Councillor Islam will be seeking a seconder, but not at this moment. So back to the original item. Councillors, is there any further debate? Deputy Mayor, Councillor Serena Williamson, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to speak in support of the original staff recommendation to adopt this budget with the rate of 3.9%. I think already the councillors speaking before me and Madam Mayor, we have shared a common perspective that we would all really like the rates to reduce as much as possible. I think what we need to understand is that we've gone through this process in depth with our staff as councillors. All of us have asked and put pressure on to see where costs can be cut. As far as the feedback I've received from staff, I'm satisfied that they have taken every avenue possible to reduce costs and seek other opportunities for grants as and when they become available. They're forward planning projects just in case grants come up so that they can make a quick move on that and reduce the financial impact to our community. I think the budget that we have in front of us offers a real mix and something for everyone. Now, Director Bradbrook, in response to one of the queries from Mr Walker about reducing costs, I think he had a really important point that every service we provide impacts someone. So it may not impact every individual in the same way, but anything we do cut service-wise will impact someone in our community. And I think when our community is facing a cost of living crisis, one of the things that goes down really quickly is mental health. Routine, being able to connect with people in the community can be very valuable and make a really big difference to our actual community. They can find support within each other. They can seek additional services. There are financial providers out there providing financial assistance, guidance. We have Switch Your Thinking running programs that offer energy reduction strategies. By the city continuing with all the services we have in place at the moment, we're offering that wraparound to people that are struggling. We have different payment options, and while I acknowledge everyone would like a lower rate increase, some of the differences we're talking might be $4 over a year, that sort of movement. But that $4 over the year for one individual ratepayer could equate to a whole program being lost, and then we need to consider what the impact of that whole program being lost would be on the long term. And I guess when we consider it as 1 year, we can't look at just this year in isolation. So any rate reduction that we support this year will be compounded into future years. So at some stage, do we need to catch up on that amount? If we defer capital items, at what point do we incur them, and has the cost of doing that work, will that increase? So there'll be future impacts. So I think we have something for youth, we have seniors, we have parks, we have community infrastructure, we support not-for-profits. We run all of our regulatory required services like health services, planning, everything we need to do to keep the city running. So I think with that, it takes staff. Staff do have those pay increases, but they're not excessive. That's what they've been negotiated at, and that they're reasonable. So I'm happy to support this budget as it is, and I am confident that the staff will be looking throughout the year to reduce costs wherever it may come up to be possible, and seek extra funding if there are opportunities arising. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Williamson. Anybody else like to speak to this item? No? Okay. I will close then. Forgive my faux pas, I'm sorry. I think it's because I let everyone else move the agendas. It's not normally me that moves the agenda item, so maybe that was it. Maybe I just shouldn't have missed a week of council. But anywho, just in closing, just congratulations to all the councillors and definitely to all of the staff, because I know this has been a long time working all this out and making sure we get it as low as we possibly can. So thank you very much for the staff. Mr CEO, thank you very much from the councillors and myself. Thank you. Thank you to our new, and introducing our new director here actually, which I don't know that we've introduced him officially. So yes, sorry. And yes, so just in closing, thank you very much to everyone for all the effort and hard work you've put into this budget. And if you could please cast your vote on the budget. Thank you. Thank you. That has been carried. Pardon? That has been carried, but yeah, thank you, Mr CEO. I saw enough hands. Now, councillors, in my eagerness to move on with adopting the budget, I did neglect to do a presentation, so if you will allow me to do my presentation now, that would be wonderful. In sharing with you that we were the winners for 2025 for the National Awards for Local Government in the Arts and Culture category, and we were the winner out of maybe 24, 25 nominees on this one for our Fusion Festival. So I think it's fantastic that we've been recognised again in the National Local Government Awards for what we're doing here. And I had, as I was in Canberra accepting this from the Minister for Local Government, Minister Christy McBain, I did have quite a few other mayors come up from other councillors and ask us more about how our Fusion works. So I did invite some of the state ones to come and visit it when we have it this year. So congratulations to all, and to the Community Engagement Department and everyone else on this award for our Fusion Festival. I think it's great that we've been recognised for that. So, and with that, I will now declare the meeting closed at 7:30. Thank you, everyone, and good night. Thank you.